And while things remain quiet with respect to Iran, at least in the meantime, Israel continues the operation in Gaza. What's the latest, Vanessa?
Well, an uptick in the genocide against Palestinians in Gaza. The first video just shows a very recent, in the last 48 hours, a bombing of the Al-Baka Cafe on the coastal zone of Gaza. So let's just have a quick look at the video. So this cafe was jam-packed full of journalists and just people trying to find some kind of respite from the hourly or minute-by-minute slaughter that is ongoing. One particular journalist, Bayan Abu Sultan, was among the dozens injured. We can just see the picture of her up on screen. This was her yesterday. 25 people, at least, were killed, and many others, of course, were injured. And this is indicative of what Israel is doing, and it's targeting particularly of journalists, but not only journalists. So in the last 24 hours, this has been reported on X this morning, 105 Palestinians killed in the last 24 hours alone. Palestinian artist Frank Amina al-Salmi was murdered by the Zionist airstrike on Al-Baka Cafe in Gaza City on the 1st of July. She drew a portrait of herself a few weeks before she was killed. So let's just have a look at the portrait that she drew of herself. This was her last painting. And on the right is her last moment. And I have to say that when I was in Gaza in 2012, during the Israeli aggression, I personally worked with a team that were gathering testimonies from families who'd particularly lost children in the Zionist aggression. Every single family told me that the child had some kind of premonition of their death on the day that they were killed. In addition to the starvation, the blockade, the everyday slaughter, now we discover, according to many reports in local media, drugs have been found hidden in flour bags distributed by the US-backed aid group that, of course, was created by Israel in order to control the supply of food and aid to the people, or in other words, to use it as a lethal weapon and use it as a lure to bring people in to be killed. In a statement, Gaza's government media office said that prescription painkiller oxycodone, which is an opioid, was found by Palestinians inside the flour bags they received from the US-run aid distribution points in Gaza. So, of course, what is this going to do? In addition to everything else, this is going to increase opioid dependency and also sedate anyone, of course, that is unfortunate enough to eat or use that particular flour. And just one image, which was in the same article, which I think epitomizes what is happening in Gaza, the destruction in the background and people desperate for a single bag of flour to feed themselves. There are constant images across all social media platforms of children and young people dying literally from starvation. And then finally, this was a report that I think originally came out in Haaretz, so in Hebrew media, killing fields, the Israeli soldiers ordered to shoot unarmed Palestinians at the aid sites, the GHF sites. So what does it actually say? This is testimony from one of the soldiers who describes it as a killing field. Where I was stationed, between 1 and 5 people were killed every day. They're treated like a hostile force. No crowd control measures, no tear gas, just live fire with everything imaginable. Heavy machine guns, grenade launchers, mortars, then once the center opens, the shooting stops and they know they can approach. Our form of communication is gunfire. So basically what they say they're doing is in the morning, they're shooting to prevent a buildup of crowds, and in the evening to disperse the people from the aid centers. And of course, they're slaughtering Palestinians in the process.
Okay, Vanessa, thank you for that grim report once again. It is tragic, but we are going to talk much more about this in Extra as well. So anyway, in the meantime, if you like what the UK column does, you would like to support us, please have a look at the front page of the UK column website. There is a link there to do that. Now, yesterday's interview with Will Keat is now up. This was Ben speaking to Will Keat on constitutional issues, is now up on the UK column website. It's entitled The Natural Order. Do have a look at that if you possibly can. Ivor Cummins is the guest on Germ Warfare tonight at 7 p.m. You won't win if you're unhealthy. He is absolutely right about that. So please join us at 7 for that. Another reminder of a date for your diary, which is the 18th of October 2025. And the theme is going to be health for UK column on location in York. Do join us if you can. Details coming very, very soon with some pretty exciting speakers. Sandy, let's just mention that yet again, another event that you're involved with has been cancelled.
Yes, it has indeed. The witch hunt continues in Glastonbury and surrounding areas, where Clive de Cole, Richard Vobes and myself have been cancelled yet again. This is the fourth time now, and we'd even chosen a venue outside of town. But somehow the community solidarity Stroud and community solidarity Glastonbury have got to them. We are dangerous people, and we are right-wing, and we're dreadful, and we cannot be allowed to speak. So free speech is gone in my location, I'm afraid. So we are battling this, obviously, but it's just, it's a sign of the times at the moment, how censored we are becoming, and how we are living as Alex mentioned earlier, we're living in a sort of Politburo now where we're not allowed to have free speech, and it's pretty awful. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see if this one does go ahead, because there's a dissident meetup taking place on Sunday, the 20th of July. It's a full day event, and 7 speakers, including yourself and Andrew Bridgen.
Indeed, I'll be speaking about devolution, among other things, and yes, it should be a really good event. It's a beautiful place, Goffin Land. It's this lovely, in nature, big barn and field, and the weather should be good, and we're hoping for a big audience there. And we are not censored in Goffin Land; it's privately owned.
Fantastic, thank you. And finally, another event coming up, the Glitch In. This is part of the Matrix Tour, Stratford upon Avon, Saturday, June the 28th. And this is related to Yellow Board's activity. So 4 teams of Yellow Boards coming together for a day of community outreach. Details will be in the show notes, and the graphic is on the screen at the moment. Okay, let's come back. Vanessa, let's come back to you then. We've talked about Gaza, but you've been hinting or in fact going much further than hinting for quite some time now, that the likelihood of serious trouble in Lebanon. What's related to the Syria situation? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, so first of all, let's just play this video and I'll talk over it. So these are Takfiri elements controlled by Jolani, or Ahmed al-Sharaa, as he's now known, as the unelected president of Syria, backed by the UK and US coalition, and of course by Israel. These are basically gathering to take up position on the border with Lebanon. If we have a very quick look at the map of Lebanon, I've pointed out there the red arrows down to the east of the Lebanese border with Syria, as effectively the 2 top arrows are where these Takfiri elements, most of them the foreign fighters, so the Uyghurs and the Chechens and the Afghans and so on, that have been sent to these borders in the northeast and the east of Lebanon. And then in the southeast, of course, we have the Israeli encampment on Mount Hermon, which is effectively on Syrian territory, but as you can see, overlooks as far as Beirut on a good day. And then to the far south of Lebanon and up to Seder and to Beirut, you have the threat of further Israeli incursions and an increase or an intensification in the Israeli bombing. And then, in fact, just yesterday, if we play this video, this demonstrates that there are Takfiri cells gathering in Lebanon. There was one captured in the north of Lebanon a few days ago, and this is in Dahyeh, in the southern suburb of Beirut, where the local people actually detected an ISIS cell of terrorists who were gathering with weapons and materials to conduct suicide bombings or IED bombings in the southern suburb. And of course, this is during the month of Muharram, which is one of the most holy months for Shia Muslim in particular, and coming up to the night of Ashura, which is the night that Imam Hussein was martyred at Karbala, and that's on Saturday. So obviously we're bracing for the potential of attacks here in Lebanon. And then we have, this is Tom Barrack, basically Trump's envoy to Syria, who's also been parachuting into Lebanon. Barrack's proposal marks 2 pivotal weeks for the Lebanese state. So what does this actually mean? Of course, he's also been shoring up the Jolani presidency in Syria. This is from Lebanese journalist Marwa Osman, who many people will probably know. And what does she actually say? So what is the US demanding from Lebanon? So disarmament, full disarmament of Hezbollah within the next 2 weeks, which of course is not going to be accepted. And that goes beyond UN Resolution 1701, which was a withdrawal from south of the Litani River to the north of the Litani River. But now Barrack is basically saying no, full disarmament, normalization with Israel, with Syria and Lebanon, handing of Lebanon over to Jolani, which explains the buildup of the troops on the border. And the cost of rejecting the deal is far less than accepting it. So that's the gauntlet laid down there by Marwa Osman. And of course, what they're also attacking is the Hezbollah banking system, because many people don't, how it's portrayed in the West is that Hezbollah is raising money to fund its terrorist activities, or in our view, their resistance activities against Zionist invasion and occupation of regional land. And in reality, what people do, and it's not only the Shia Muslims in Lebanon, they take their gold to the Hezbollah banks. The gold is kept and a loan is given without any interest payments at all. And when the loan is paid back, they can come and get their gold back. So this is a no interest banking policy, which they're looking to shut down in favor of course, organizations like the IMF and the World Bank and American-backed financial institutions. And then, of course, on the back of this, we have Trump signs an executive order lifting the majority of sanctions on Syria. And then this is the Zionist author, Barak Javid, I think. Behind the scenes, Israel is communicating with Syria through at least 4 different channels, including Netanyahu's national security advisor, Mossad director, Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar for political strategic dialogue, and the Israel Defense Forces for day-to-day military coordination. So this is quite extraordinary. Syria appears to be heading towards being effectively a satellite state of Israel. And then finally, we also have operations ongoing in Iraq. 3 suspected ISIS members were killed in a Kirkuk operation in Iraq in the last 48 hours. So ISIS has clearly been deployed and triggered in Iraq to attack the resistance factions there. And if we have a look at the kind of map of the region, you can see the filled in red circle is where the attacks by ISIS against Iraqi resistance factions took place near Kirkuk, again, very close to the Iranian border. Syria, in the view of the Zionist alliance, has been taken out of action. That remains to be seen. Of course, there are still resistance factions acting inside Syria, and the Syrian army soldiers that left into Iraq and Lebanon when Damascus fell in December last year. But you can see there that basically what Trump and Netanyahu are now doing the ceasefire has allowed them to pivot back to try and weaken the two strongest resistance zones, which is Lebanon and Iraq, prior to then probably restarting the war against Iran. And I mentioned last week that we've started a blog or a section of the blog at UK Column News called Syria-Centric, a regional analysis. And this week, I'll be looking at the Iranian-backed Ring of Fire and all of the resistance factions that would be activated should there be a restart of aggression by Israel and the US alliance against Iran. And that should be published and up at the website tomorrow.
Thank you, Vanessa. I mean, just very, very briefly, what are your expectations on that last point? When do you think it's likely that aggression will start against Iran once again?
Very difficult to tell. There's potential for false flag on American soil, but I think for now they're going to focus, as I said, on weakening and destroying the resistance in Lebanon and Iraq initially.
Okay, thank you for that. Now, let's come back to the UK then.